Hello fellow booktubers, my name is Lauren and you're watching Dreams Books Courage, and it has been a while since I've filmed a video or uploaded a video, and I feel like I say this at the end of every semester, but college is hard and I do not have a lot of extra time to film and edit videos for YouTube. But it is summer now and I am back, so I should be able to film more regularly, hopefully every Friday and maybe sometimes on Wednesday as well. But this summer I'm still busy because I'm working on a research project and I'm also kind of moving into an apartment. So we'll just have to see how everything goes, but as you can see behind me, my books are kind of a mess. I just kind of shoved them back into my bookcase so then I could film this video for you guys. I have not had a lot of time for reading, as you will see within my wrap-up video of like the last 5 months and a few weeks, but I am so ready to get— what are my hands doing? But I am so ready to get back into reading, which is a good thing because I currently have 9 books that I am currently reading because I just don't know what went wrong this semester. I just could not get through books that I mostly had to read for class, so that's not very good and definitely did not follow my example. But of course I still want to read these books. They're all interesting to me in their own way, and so I am still very excited about reading them. So this is basically my spring currently reading slash my summer to be read, because I do not know how quickly I'm going to be able to get through 9 books. And for summer I'm just considering June, July, and August. I know that's not technically summer, but it's easier to go by months than specific dates. And I would love to know down below if you'd rather see like seasonal TBR videos or if you'd rather see monthly TBR videos. I'm definitely open to doing either. And just tell me anything else you would like to see on this channel because I do have more time during the summer. But anyways, let's go ahead and get into the 9 books that I am currently reading. So the first book that I am currently reading, because I'm actually reading this book. So since I have so many books in my currently reading and I like to read books usually 1 to 2 at a time, I will be talking about these books in the order that I plan on reading them. So first off, I have the Autobiography of an Excolored Man by James Weldon Johnson, and I'm just so embarrassed that I have not finished this book. I actually wrote a 7-page research paper on it, but I haven't even finished the novel for it, and it's only 150 pages long, so I don't know what's wrong with me. It's not the story. It's very interesting, although I guess it does have a few lulls in it. Hopefully you'll be seeing this in my wrap-up video very soon, but you never know with me in my random reading schedule. Anyways, contrary to the title, this is not actually an autobiography. This is a fictionalized narrative. The author is actually nothing like the character in the novel. As you can tell by the title of the novel, the narrator actually decides to pass as white. In actuality, he is biracial. He is half African American and half white, but he just looks like he's white. And during this time period, which is the early 20th century, African Americans are treated absolutely horribly, and in no way are they treated like equals. And throughout this narrative you can kind of see why the narrator decides to pass as white. Although it's still kind of hard to understand in some ways, it's still understandable enough why he makes that decision. And a lot of what this narrative has to deal with is music and the genres of ragtime and classical and how the narrator mixes the two, which was basically the focus of my research paper. But it is a very interesting read and I only have 20 pages left, and it is May 16th. So I should be able to get through this by the end of the month, but we'll just have to see what happens because I don't know if I don't feel like I've been in a reading slump because I haven't forced myself to read, but I just haven't been reading. So hopefully by filming this video I will be getting back into reading and finishing this book very soon. And the next novel I have is Devil in a Blue Dress by Walter Mosley. And this novel is actually the first in a series that are the Easy Rawlins detective series. And I read this novel for an English class that was just titled fiction, so of course this is fiction. I don't know why I said that, just had to include that little tidbit if you didn't get that from the title of the class. Anyways, of course this is a mystery novel and our main character is a detective named Easy Rawlins. In this novel we see Easy becoming a detective. He's kind of down on his luck and he's just been fired from his job. Underlying the plot is the race relations within this novel. This is set within the 1940s in Los Angeles, and it also reminds me of the other novel. I won't tell you why though because that's kind of a spoiler, but this novel is really great and I'm having a great time reading it. I don't think I have that many pages left either. Honestly, why am I not finishing these books? I have 70 pages left in this book, so Why have I not finished it? I do not know. That's like basically with a lot of these novels. I'm like almost done, but I just didn't finish them because I had to move on to the next novel in the classes, but whatever. And the issue with not finishing a novel while you're reading it in a class is that you find out the ending anyways, and it's not like you can say no spoilers when you're supposed to finish it. I still do really want to finish this novel because the writing is really great, and I also do really enjoy mysteries, although I do not read enough of them, so I'm really excited to jump back into this one. I'm filming on my like handheld Canon camera today, so let us know down below if you like notice a change in quality, if you think it's better or worse. It should be about the same hopefully, but definitely tell me down below what you think of this quality. And the next novel that I plan to read this summer and that I'm kind of currently reading, although I'm not actually like currently reading it, but you get what I'm saying. This novel is To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee, which I actually have read before, and so you might be like, then why do you feel the need to finish it again? Because I was just reading this for a class. But I do really enjoy this novel, and I definitely do not mind rereading this. This is definitely a novel that if you're a reader, you just have to read. It's like quintessential. The writing style is beautiful, and it's just such a great narrative. It's a coming-of-age novel about the main character, who is Scout Finch. And again, it deals a lot with race relations, which I'm pretty happy to be reading right now, especially like with the social and political climate. I think these novels that I'm talking about are all extremely important to read. So if you want to dive more into race relations and novels dealing with that sort of thing, I would definitely recommend these three novels. These two are actually like written by people of color. This one, of course, is not. But anyways, I digress. I do really love this novel. This is a coming-of-age novel about the main character of Scout Finch and her kind of discovering race relations and just growing up a lot throughout this. But it has some very important elements within it, so I would highly recommend this novel if you have not read it yet. And I also like Go Set a Watchman, but it was kind of like released under like kind of bad circumstances, but I do really enjoy that novel as well, which is kind of the sequel to this. It's about Scout whenever she's like in her 20s. But yes, I'm very happy to be reading this one once again. I'm actually listening to the audiobook, which is narrated by Sissy Spacek, who is from my hometown, and she just has the perfect southern drawl for the character of Scout, so she is just the best narrator for her. And so yes, I will probably be finishing this pretty quickly once I get to this one. As I'm talking to you guys, I'm like discovering what order I'm reading these books in. And next I have Leaves of Grass by Walt Whitman. Although this version also has other selected poems and prose within it, and I do plan on reading all of it. It's not that long, especially when you consider that it's poetry. And also, just a side note, this book is absolutely gorgeous. Like, just look how beautiful that book is. This is part of the Penguin Drop Caps editions, which are just so beautiful, and I love them so much. It even has a quote on the back. Anyways, I digress. So for my class, I just had to read the original Song of Myself from Leaves of Grass, which is like the 1855 version, I think. And I wasn't reading from this edition, I was reading from the one that I rented for class. But even though it's poetry, I did not get that far into it, which is kind of crazy. But this is an epic poem, so it's not just like short little snippets of poetry. It's like it's basically like a novel. And the epic poem Leaves of Grass is actually considered like the national epic poem for the United States. So that's also very interesting. And again, it also kind of deals with race relations, which I think is very interesting that even Whitman was dealing with that. Or that he was like talking about it in a time that like it wasn't really cool to talk about it. And he's a white author. It was kind of like unexpected that he would talk about that, but it's really great that he did. Although he's by no means a perfect author in any way, it's good that he did bring up race relations, especially within his epic poem. Maybe this will be more of a quicker read after the novels that I'm going to be reading, and I'm just so excited to just pick up this edition because it is just so gorgeous and I just want to read it right now, but I also don't because I just haven't been reading. But anyways, I am definitely excited for whenever I pick this one back up. Next, I have the novel that I just dropped on the floor and like messed up the cover, as you can see maybe. As you might be able to see, it's like all messed up and I am so sad, and I'm just so sad I ruined the cover. But anyways, this is Parable of the Sower by Octavia Butler. And again, another novel about race relations, which is great. It's actually the last novel that I'm reading that's about that, but I love how I'm like reading all these novels in a row. And this is one that I did not get that far into. I'm on page 98 out of 329 pages. So I have a while to go in this one, and I was reading it in like January, so it's been quite a while since I've read this, but I think I remember enough about it. This novel is about a dystopia in which pretty like realistic things happen. The economy failed, and then like all these other like environmental things were happening, which is still extremely relevant, even though I think this was like written in like the 90s or something. And it's just kind of about how they get along within the society, and I love dystopians. That's probably my favorite genre. So I am very excited to like jump back into this one. This novel starts out about this character named Lauren, which is my name. So it's always like odd reading about a character who has the same first name as you. At least to me, I think it is. And what's super weird is at the beginning of the novel, the main character's best friend's name is Joanne, which is my best friend's name. So it was like super weird to read about that. In the society, they live in like gated communities. They have like barbed wire around the fence and like lasers and stuff like that, because if you don't live in one of these communities, you're basically struggling to survive, and so all the other people are basically like criminals. I don't know if I would necessarily call them that. They like have no food, and so they're trying to get food from these communities, and so it's a pretty dangerous environment. And so Lauren lives inside one of these communities, and then things go awry. I don't really want to spoil the rest of it. Also, I haven't read the rest of it. I just know the rest of it because we talked about it in an English class. But yeah, this is a very interesting read, and I'm really excited to go forward with it and see what the rest of it is all about, because I kind of have like a cursory knowledge of what happens, but I feel like the writing style is really interesting and really good, so I'm really excited to read the rest of this. And the next one, I actually finished what I needed to for class, so yay me, I finished something for class. Just kidding, I did finish a few novels for my classes. I'm just obviously not talking about them in this video because I'm not reading them anymore. But those novels will be in my wrap-up, which I will be posting in a few weeks. So anyways, the short story that I finished is Daisy Miller, which is part of this short story collection by Henry James. And so it's Daisy Miller and other stories, so I do want to read those other stories. There are 3 other short stories that I do want to read within this, and those are Pandora, The Patagonia, and 4 Meetings, which I really don't know what those are about at all. But the story of Daisy Miller is another very essential read for someone who's majoring in English. Even though it is a short story, it's just very important, and it comes up all the time in my English classes. I really enjoy the writing style. It reminds me a lot of Fitzgerald, if I'm remembering correctly. And I do really enjoy at least the story of Daisy Miller. She's kind of like an American who like doesn't try to fit in with the culture in other countries. And so she's kind of rude in a way, but she's also like being her own person. And this is my second time reading Daisy Miller, and I've always had like conflicting thoughts about her character, but she does kind of seem like a feminist for this time period, which I believe is like the early 1900s. So I do like that about that short story. I think the other ones might also be about Americans in Europe and kind of displacing issues that are going on within the United States during that time period. So I think the other ones are also kind of about that. So I am really excited to get into those, since I do really enjoy Daisy Miller and just seeing how I enjoy the other short stories. And I might read like one every month of summer. I might do that, and then I'll like have finished it by the end of summer. That sounds like a good idea. So I might do that. So next novel, I actually did not read for a class, but I've been reading since like October of last year. So that's kind of a fail in itself. But it's okay that I like haven't been reading it like in like 6 months or so, because this is an anthology, and that is Slasher Girls and Monster Boys, which is edited by April Genevieve Tucholk, but there are a lot of authors within this collection, and I do really want to finish it up. And also there are a lot of scary movies that are like coming out this summer, so I can like go watch those movies and like read this, and it'd be basically like Halloween all over again, because I do enjoy watching scary movies and reading scary things. Honestly, the stories within this aren't that scary. Some of them are like creepy, and some are just kind of like, you know, monsters and stuff like that. But the writing style is really great, so I have been enjoying that. Although of course it fluctuates because these are different authors. Overall, I've really been enjoying this collection, and I'm really excited about getting back into reading it, especially during the summer when all of the scary movies are coming out, and hopefully I can get my boyfriend to go see them with me. I am actually super excited to get back into this, and something that I'm not reading for a class, or that I wasn't reading for a class. You get what I mean. The next book that I have is another reread, and that is Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel, and I'm still continuing my reread of this, just like of To Kill a Mockingbird, because again, I just really love this novel. It's another kind of dystopian, kind of post-apocalyptic read about a pretty large cast of characters and kind of how they survive after 99.9% of the population has died. This book is so interesting. Honestly, I feel like you can't really get everything out of the novel after one read. You really do have to like go back and revisit the novel. There's just so much happening, and I really enjoy reading this novel. This is the second time that I've had to read it for a class, and every time I feel like professors just talk about different things because there's so much to talk about with this novel. I'd highly recommend this if you like Shakespeare or just arts in general, or dystopian / post-apocalyptic reads. This is a great novel, and I'm excited to get back into it and really be able to spend more time focusing in on this novel, because this semester I only got 53 pages into it. It's like 330 pages long, so I'll get back to this eventually, and I'll be happy when I do. And now we're finally on the final book of this currently reading video, and keep in mind this is currently reading, so I'm like somewhere within all these books. That is just so ridiculous. This summer I plan on redeeming myself and just having one book I'm currently reading once again, but yeah, it's not looking too hot right now. Anyways, the final book that I am currently reading is City of Bones by Cassandra Clare, which is the first novel in the Mortal Instruments series, which is a series that I really love. Although this book is probably like one of the harder ones to get through, just because this is one of the first books that Cassandra Clare ever wrote. And if you've read Cassandra Clare's books before, you know that her books always like get better and better with every single novel, and so does her writing style. So it's not like the best in the world within this novel, although I still really enjoy it. The reason why I'm reading this novel last isn't because I'm like the least bit through with it. It's just because after I read this, I want to continue on with City of Ashes, because my plan was to reread this book and rewatch the first season of the Shadowhunters TV show. And while season 2 of Shadowhunters was coming out, I was going to read City of Ashes, but I kind of ended up a little bit behind, if you cannot tell, which is whatever, because now I'm finally getting back to it. And season 2B comes out during June, so I do still have time to read it and watch the series. I'm sure you probably know what this is about. It's basically about these people who are half human, half angel, I think, right? It's been so long since I've read the series, but I'm pretty sure they're half angel, right? They are shadow hunters, and they basically protect all humans from supernatural forces like werewolves and vampires and stuff like that, even though those forces aren't necessarily inherently bad. But of course there are villains within the series, and the series is just so great. I love it so much, and I am really looking forward to getting back into the series as soon as I possibly can. But before that happens, I need to read these 8 books. So we'll just have to see how soon that's going to happen. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and thank you for still subscribing to my channel even though it's been like 5 months since I posted a video. I just really appreciate your support even whenever I'm not able to post as many videos, and I would love to hear your suggestions for anything, whether it's like types of videos you want me to post, if you want me to post more on different types of social media. I do have social media for this account, and so I'll leave a link to those down below, along with a link to my other YouTube channel, which is Dreams Life Courage, where I have more lifestyle videos. Anyways, thank you guys so much for supporting me through everything. I would love to hear your thoughts on these novels if you have read them, or if you just want to read them, and also the book that you are most looking forward to reading this summer. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.